As we come around towards periapsis, we will find ourselves within the altitude range to test the gear bay and then the radial decoupler. Note, we have to do them in that order or we have a problem. So we test the radial decoupler first. The gear bays are attached to the decouplers. Yeah. So let's just fast forward time until we are between 77 and 8450, 84,500. Whoa. As a matter of fact, now we're too low. We'll have to wait until we're coming back up after periapsis now, because I was a little too anxious with the time acceleration. Not good. My coffee, however, is fantastic. Okay. Power we have plenty of. Monoprop in the capsule, which we can't use because we don't have thrusters. And all our life support we've got, well, let's see. Yeah. We've got 2 days worth of life support, 3 hours worth of electricity. That will be more than enough. A little bit of time warp. Just to get through back to where we're back up to 77 kilometers. All right, now we can go over here, right click on the bay, run test. That is completed. Okay, now the radial decoupler, activate with staging. Oh nuts, I did it too soon. Oh, I needed to wait until we were 82. That means we'll have to run that test again on the next flight. But we still have 107,000 funds. So it's still a profit, even if we didn't succeed with the test this time. The nice thing about these contracts is they usually have like a year or two worth of expiration date, so you've got lots of time in which to do them. Alright, let's see. Space Center is here. Okay, let's put our deceleration burn somewhere in that neighborhood. And plan our re-entry burn. I think that's probably going to be fairly close. Right there. That should have us coming down fairly close to the Space Center. We'll push the time ahead just a little bit. Try to account for planetary rotation. Alright. Let's line up with our maneuver. And time accelerate. Trying not to overshoot. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm curious here. Let's look at stage recovery. All of these stages have been recovered. So they had sufficient parachutes on them. Excellent. And the radial decouplers and small gear bay were destroyed. I think we can live with that. Okay, rolling heads up, because I am very peculiar that way. I Accelerate down to our burn time. Final attitude correction. And here we go. All right. Kill that. Look out here. We're looking good. Well, All right. Let's turn around prograde and apply a little bit of thrust in that direction. Push that mark to the east a little bit. That's good right there. Okay. All right. Get back to retrograde because we're getting ready to do a deadly re-entry. This will be my first time doing re-entry with deadly re-entry's effect on things. Prior flights landing and returning from high altitude notwithstanding. All right. Let's time accelerate a bit. Oh, wait a minute. It occurs to me, I brought this science bay. Let's have a use of it. Okay, 3.8 science. Not exceptional, but it's something. Anything from the mystery goo? While in space near Kerbal. Well, I thought the science biome, space just above Kerbal's deserts. Why aren't we getting science for that? It's not because we're too high. I really don't believe that. Let's try an EVA. I like the bug fix that keeps him from getting ejected too far. EVA report. There we go. 5.6 science for that. Back aboard. Crew report. In space near Kerbal, and we're not getting anything for it, so dump it. Altitude getting down to 88 kilometers. We don't need the science window thing anymore. One last look at the map view. Yeah, that's pulling to the west as I thought it would. So we've got a decent chance of coming down somewhere close to the Space Center. Alright. Let's go ahead and rotate vertical. And then stage that away and go back to retrograde. Okay. And it's got parachutes on it too, so. Theoretically, it could conceivably be recovered, although they could also burn up. We'll find out. Because as long as we're within 2.5 kilometers, anything that happens to that shuttle is going to, that stage, excuse me, is going to show up over here, I would expect. Okay, just a little bit of physics time warp. Get things moved along a little bit here. As a matter of fact, I'll go normal speed and speed up the video instead. Alright, things are getting hot outside. 150 degrees C and climbing. As we get into the fun part of re-entry. I'm hoping that my goo units, and more importantly my parachutes, stay within acceptable temperature ranges. We're starting to burn some heat shield. It looks like the previous stage is having some overheat issues. I should only have to just keep the ship oriented directly retrograde. Okay, previous stage destroyed. Burned up on re-entry. I should only have to just keep this thing retrograde to keep the capsule, parachutes, and goo units and so on safe temperature-wise. Yeah, they're at 19, minus 21 C. I don't think we have a problem. As a matter of fact, we're through the hottest part of re-entry. Coming over the mountains, and there's the Space Center ahead. Let's have our surface information. Aldous Kerman looks a little nervous, but hey, we made it, dude. And he looks up and says, we? Ain't nobody but me in this cockpit. And it looks like he's coming down at the mountains. Good, we can get some mountain science. Kerbal Highlands. Okay. Parachutes deployed. And inflated with a gut-wrenching 15G jerk. Accelerate to the ground. We'll leave SAS turned on so that we've got a decent chance of landing upright. Well, so much for that. But we're not moving anymore, except we're rolling a little bit. Okay. Alright. Well, let's get a mystery goo for here. We'll take that. We will EVA. EVA report while flying over Kerbal Highlands. Get back aboard to stow it. EVA again. Let go. Turn your lights on, boy. Alright. Get a surface sample. Look at an EVA report. And let's see if we can get him back on board. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, we'll recover him and then we'll recover the ship. Okay, 8 science, no funds, yada yada. Okay. And if we look over here, there's a marker for that. Recover. 22.8 science, that's 128 science total. 4964 funds from the parts on that ship. 114,963 now. Alright. So, let's see what we can pick up in R&D. Okie dokie, we have 128 science. I'm going to spend I'm going to get this section here. Let's see, that's the Maverick 1D, assorted fuel tanks. We'll get the Maverick, we'll get the fuel tanks. I'll get the SRBs. Don't need those. And I'm going to go ahead and get this group for the other 45 science. I want my strut connectors. I want my TR70 radial decouplers, launch stability enhancers, and I want that stacked tricoupler too. Anything else I need to buy in these other groups that have already been bought, I mean unlocked. Doesn't look like it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a few minutes and go through all these items and see if there is other things I want to get. And then, for my next trick, we're going to get a polar vehicle launch for polar EVA reports. And also, we're going to get a satellite launch. All right, here we are getting ready for the polar flight. But this is not the ship that's going to go to the polar flight. This one is cobbled together specifically to test this engine here and the Sepratron. I picked up several contracts. We have the traditional gather science from space, the Rockamex Poodle engine, test it while landed. So that shouldn't be a problem. And the Sepratron to test that while landed. That also won't be a problem. In addition to retesting the TT38K radial, we also have to test the Mark 55 radial mount liquid engine and the hydraulic detachment manifold. Those will be tested in orbit. And then later on, we have the Explore the Moon contract, which requires several steps along the way. And we'll be doing that fairly soon, which is why I picked it up when I did. Okay, and because of the nature of this particular flight, Hadley Kerman will not only pilot this one, but he will pilot the polar mission as well. Meanwhile, we will achieve testing the Poodle engine. There we go, we've got that taken care of. And we can kill the throttle on that. And now I put this Sepratron in its own stage. We'll fire that. And that takes care of that. We will now recover this flight. I'll take a quick stop into R&D. Yeah, we'll get all our funding back, except for a little bit of Sepratron fuel and other fuel that we burned, but not much. Okay, R&D. All right. Okay, I'm going to want this node very soon, so I'm going to grab it now. I'm going to get the Stay Putnik. I'm going to get this little small inline reaction wheel. And let's see. The AVR8 winglets. I really like those. They actually work. All right. Okay, I'm going to take the expanded fairing base and the various expanded fairing parts. Okay, and that will be enough of that. Anything in here? No. I think that's pretty much it for the moment. Alright, so now let's get ready for the polar flight. Alright, here we are with the Polar 1A. This vehicle is designed for going into a polar orbit. And let's see, I've got the SRBs. I've expanded those out to like 4 meters, and their diameter's a little bit larger. They'll burn for about, I believe, just a little bit over 60 seconds. And I've used the tri-coupler that I just picked up along with the FLT 800s, excuse me, and the Wildcat 5 engines, and of course my AVR8 winglets for stability and pitch authority and so on. And up here with the batteries, those procedural batteries, I've changed it from 2 to 8 and increased their size a little bit. And the Science Junior and goo containers have been removed from this mission because in this orbit we're not going to get science from the goo containers or the Science Junior, because those will only be reporting, like, well, in space near Kerbal and stuff like that. It will take the EVA reports to get in space just above such and such biome. And so that's what this mission is all about, in addition to testing these parts. So let's go ahead and grab our flight stats, throttle to max, and let's rock. I'm expecting these winglets to make this thing a lot easier to fly, especially through this critical first 10 to 15 kilometers of flight, most of which is straight up. Looks like the Wildcats are beginning to overheat just a little bit, but I don't expect that to be a prolonged problem. In fact, that's all the overheat we're getting, so we're good. Approaching 8 kilometers, let's begin to pitch to the north. Just a little bit, not too much. There we go. We'll be losing the SRBs real soon. SRBs away. As we continue to pitch, going for our polar orbit. As we work the inclination higher and higher. Alright, let's pitch down to the horizon here. Fortunately, these Wildcats have decent gimbal authority on them, especially when you have 3 of them. Okay, throttle off, stage. Okay. We're 2 minutes from apoapsis. Let's plan something real quick. Very quickly. Okay, at apoapsis. About a 75 kilometer periapsis is good. Okay. Let's get lined up on our node, and I believe we should be burning just about as soon as we get that way. 1 minute, well, it says 1 hour, 29 minutes. It's obviously not right, but let us burn. Get our flight stats back. Camera to free mode. I really need to start doing that just before launch. Get into a polar orbit. And this way it'll be able to, with one flight, gather quite a bit of science. Or a lot of little bits of science. Okay, we are well on the way. (73° inclination), not bad. Might do a plane change burn over on the other side over there, just to see about bringing that closer to 80 or 85 degrees. Okay, our apoapsis is continuing to climb, so I'm going to halt the burn until we get closer to that point, so that we don't raise the apoapsis up any higher. It's plenty high enough as it is. A little bit of time warp here. All right, now let's finish the burn. Just bring the periapsis up to about 73 to 75 and call that good enough. There we go. We have orbit. All right, now when it comes to our contracts, science data from space around Kerbal. Okay, let's just get a crew report and transmit that. It doesn't matter that it has no science value. It has fulfilled the contract. And that will be probably the last transmit for a while. We've got plenty of electric charge, but I'm counting on the fact that we're going to be in orbit for some time. Okay. Next up is the Mark 55 radial mount liquid engines. We'll test fire those at 0 thrust, and then when it comes time to test the TT38K decouplers, we will jettison them. And then shortly after, sometime after that, we've got these hydraulic detachment manifolds to test. Let's see. Okay, it's going to take a little while until we get to the point where we can begin our testing, so I'm going to make a cut until we get to that point. All right, here we are just a little bit later than I had anticipated. We're approaching periapsis here. I had to walk away from things, and it was I didn't even left things going, and things went a little longer and farther than I had anticipated. However, we are at the point now where we can test these radial liquid engines, so we'll go ahead and fire those at 0 thrust. Okay, that's taken care of. Now, after we pass periapsis and start heading back up, once we pass 82,700 meters, we can go ahead and test the TT38K radial decouplers and jettison those engines. Shortly after that, we'll be able to test the hydraulic detachment manifold. And what I'm going to be doing there is, after that, this ship has got 2 days, 5.5 hours worth of food, water, and oxygen, and it's got about 2 days, 1 hour of electricity. So basically what I'm going to do is the electricity is the determining factor. It's going to run out first. And this ship is going to basically remain in orbit for as long as it can. As it passes over various biomes, Hadley here is going to go EVA, do reports, and gather as much science that way as he can. And then, after the ship is just about almost to the limit of its life support capability, we will arrange for a re-entry. And because that's going to take quite a long time, I'm not going to make you watch it. I wouldn't even consider putting that on accelerated video, because that's going to take quite a while to do, even with time acceleration. So we'll go ahead and get these tests done, and then I'm going to go ahead and get that science recorded. Let's see, let's a little bit of time acceleration here so that we can get heading back upward. Just a few seconds from periapsis now. And now we're on the way up. All right. See here, we're about to be coming over the edge of the pole here, the ice cap. And let's see. Coming back up, we need 82,700. We're at 77. 79. All right, we're going at a pretty good pace here, just 5x. Back to real time. Okay, we can now test the radial decouplers, so we'll jettison those engines. All right, very good. One more test to go as we pass 83,500. And now we can take care of the hydraulic detachment manifolds. Those tests are taken care of. All right. And explore the moon, that is, of course, for a future flight. So I'm going to go ahead and close that up and probably just watch my resources. I want to keep an eye on my electric charge. And now it's going to be take EVA reports from above as many different biomes as possible. We'll see you when it's time for re-entry.